Chapter 17. Lily. I have the paper hidden in my purse as I walk up to Carrie's apartment, but I still worry that someone is going to find out about it. I don't think anyone heard me tell Carrie about the paper, and I'm almost positive no one followed me here, but I can't shake the feeling that eyes are on me. As I knock on her door, my gaze darts around looking for anything that might be out of place. Although, since I've never been here before, I wouldn't even know if something was wrong. Thankfully, the door opens moments later and Carrie ushers me in. Her apartment is small but comfortable, decorated in a soft pink and cream color that reminds me of strawberries and cream. "You want a drink?" Carrie asks. "Sure. Do you have some tea?" The weather outside is only slightly cold, but the chill I feel inside is ginormous. I don't know if tea will help, but it certainly can't hurt. "Of course. Come on in the kitchen and I'll put a kettle on." She leads the way to the kitchen, and I can't help glancing around as she turns on the burner. Her kitchen is simple and decorated in black and white. Carrie is definitely a neatnik because there is hardly a thing on her counters. There's a toaster and a coffee pot, but that's about all I see. Carrie opens a cabinet and pulls out a box of teas. "Do you have a preference?" "Green tea is fine. I'm not picky." "Ugh, lucky you," she says, as she pulls a bag of green tea for me and a bag of basic black for herself. "I can't handle certain spices or smells, so I have to keep it kind of simple." "Really? Doesn't that get bland?" She smiles softly as she grabs 2 mugs from a cupboard that is also neat and orderly. "Yeah, it can be, but if I don't, I get pretty bad headaches, and I can't do painkillers, so it's worth it." I pull out one of the bar stools and sit down. "You can't do painkillers? Like you have an allergy to them?" Carrie nods and sits across from me. "Yep, allergic to aspirin and all non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. Sometimes I can take the stronger stuff, but I don't like how it makes me feel." Though Carrie laughs this off as if it's no big deal, I can't imagine how hard this would be. I've only had a few migraines in my life, but they were crippling. Like, turn out the lights and lie in bed as still as possible crippling. And I can't imagine not being able to take regular painkillers for them. "I'm so sorry. That must be hard." "No harder than anything else others are dealing with. We all have our crosses to bear, and that just happens to be mine." "I get it. I'm diabetic, so I have to check my blood sugar often and always carry insulin and snacks with me. See, your cross is different, but just as hard." The kettle begins to whistle, and Carrie fills the mugs and passes one to me. "Okay, so shall we take a look at this paper?" I nod and pull it out of my pocket, press out the folds, and then slide it across the bar to her. As she studies it, I take a sip of my tea. "So, what do you think it means?" I ask her, when I can't bear the silence any longer. Carrie's brow furrows as she studies the numbers. "I'd have to check with finance, but I wonder if these are transaction numbers." I lean in closer. "Transaction numbers? But why would that be in my desk?" "That's a very good question," Carrie says. "I mean, I suppose it's possible that it has been there a long time, though the paper doesn't look that old." I think back to old receipts I found over the years. Most of them were yellowed, and some of them were so faded that you could no longer even see the words. This, on the other hand, is still white and quite easy to read. "No, it doesn't, so I don't think it's old. How long did Claire work for the company?" "Just over a year, I think. Why?" "It looks too new to be older than that. So Claire had to have put it there. But why would she have it? Do you think she was stealing from the company? Or maybe stumbled across someone else stealing from the company?" Carrie takes a sip of her tea and shakes her head as if she can't believe it. I thought you were crazy when you suggested that Claire's death might not be an accident. But now I'm not so sure. If she was skimming from the company and someone found out about it, she shivers. Or if she did find that someone else was stealing from the company and they found out she knew about it. She shakes her head again. Neither of those are pleasant thoughts, as it would mean the killer might still work there. But maybe it's not that nefarious. Maybe she didn't tell anyone and the guilt of that ate her up inside. Somehow I doubt that, I say. I mean, why wouldn't she just quit if that was the case? I don't know. This is just crazy. Okay, but let's assume that she did find theft. Who would be doing it? Sarah? Carrie lets out a low whistle. Stealing from your own company? That would be pretty brazen. And I can't see Sarah killing Claire and staging it as a suicide. But you did say she's been acting weird. What if killing her was an accident and now she's dealing with the guilt? Carrie looks down at the paper and shakes her head again. It just doesn't make sense. Claire could have taken this to the police, or at least a lawyer. I mean, she'd have a wrongful termination suit if she got fired and could prove it. You're right, that doesn't make sense. Do you think maybe it's Janice? She was a little weird the day I started when I said Sarah seemed stressed, and she might have reacted more forcefully if Claire told her. After all, she would not only get fired, but probably go to prison. That might be reason enough to kill someone. Carrie's lips pull into a straight line as she ponders this option. If Claire was actually killed, she pauses and sighs. Janice would make more sense from the financial part, but while she's always been stricter, she doesn't seem like the type to steal from the company. I'm not sure what she expects a person stealing from a company would be like. In my opinion, they wouldn't do anything to stand out. But what do I know? So what do we do about it? Do we just ignore it and pretend it's nothing? Do we take a chance it's not Sarah and talk to her? Or Janice? Why don't you let me keep it and I'll ask one of the guys I know in finance. Before we talk to someone higher, we should probably make sure this is what we think it is. Are you sure? She nods. It only makes sense. I know more people there and I know who to talk to. I can ask questions quietly. I don't know why I want to take the paper with me. Am I really scared that something will happen to Carrie if she has it? Or is there another reason? Whatever the reason, I choose to trust her. Okay, but be careful. She smiles at me. Careful is my middle name.